I love perusing the thrift store for beautiful natural fiber sweaters, and I was absolutely drawn to the color of this sweater. When I looked at the tag, I realized it was 100% cashmere for less than $5. The only trouble is that this isn't really my size, and it's also covered in moth holes, and there's some significant light fading on the yarn as well. But since the quality of this sweater is so good, I love the color so much, I thought I would see if it would be worth it to unravel this sweater to harvest the yarn to reknit into something else. So today I'm going to see what is the dollar per hour that it takes to transform this $5 thrift sweater into a pile of maybe hundreds of dollars of yarn. We'll have to see. The first step in kind of harvesting this yarn is to take it apart at the seams. Let's start by investigating those a little bit closer and seeing how we can best attack this sweater. I wish that I could have you all feel how soft this cashmere is. It is so incredibly soft. It's really nice. One of the things you might be noticing, and that I'm noticing, is that cashmere tends to have a halo to it, which means a little bit of fuzziness around the outside, and that can be a recipe for felting, which can make unraveling a sweater a little bit more difficult. But I'm not seeing that this is too prohibitively felted. It doesn't look so bad. This left sleeve is definitely the most affected by the fading and the moth holes, so we'll see how much yarn we need. I have a pattern in mind that I want to reknit this into. These seams are perfect for unraveling. They're chain stitched together, which means that if we find the correct end, we just pick it open, we can just pull on one thread and it'll come undone all the way down the seam. So take off everything that I can while hopefully keeping the big panels intact. Okay, I now have nearly 5 pieces. I've got one arm, the other arm with all the moth holes and discoloration. I've got the collar and the front and back. But see, this is why I find unraveling sweaters so fascinating, because this is a new joining technique at the ribbing that I've never encountered before. So I don't want to cut anything apart in case some of this is salvageable or it comes apart once I start unraveling it. Now, the next thing that we need to do is start finding like a little end on one of these panels and hook it up to my Unraveler. Really quickly, before we jump over to that, some of you might be having a question of how can I trust having a piece with obvious moth hole damage in it into the rest of my yarn collection? How do I be sure that none of the other moths are going to make it? This is what I personally do, but I have 2 methods of removing any potential infestation problems. One is I bake my yarn at a very low temperature. This only works for natural materials. If you do it with plastic, it's going to melt. And if you do it with natural materials and they get too hot, they can also char and burn and catch on fire. So be careful with that one, but that one does go very quickly. I put it on a very low temperature, like the lowest my oven can go, which is still pretty hot, for about 30 minutes to an hour. The other method is to freeze it for a few weeks. I've seen museum curators comment in my comments that it's at least, I think, 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, sometimes if you ever visit me and you open my freezer, you will find sweaters and yarn in my freezer because I'm trying to prevent any infestations spreading in my stash, because I have quite a significant stash and some of it is vintage and antique and I really want to keep them in good condition. Let's move over to my Unraveler. It's been a while since you all have seen it, and let's just say I'm a little clumsy, so I've dropped it a few times since the last time I used it. So it needs a little bit of a TLC before we can use it, and I can talk about it if you've never seen it before. What do I even mean when I say my Unraveler? Oh, and almost completely forgot to mention, I am keeping track of the time. So right now we are almost exactly 20 minutes in. So it took me 20 minutes to unpick the seams of this sweater. Okay, now to the Unraveler. here is what I have called my sweater unraveler. This is my new and improved version that I created, I believe, last year. So if you're curious about why I designed it this way, how I designed it, how I put it together, feel free to check out that video. In the meantime, I have managed to drop this poor machine more than once. So we are missing 2 arms. I did find 1 arm with the matching bolt and screw and everything, but not both. So if you hear a 3D printing noise in the background, that is indeed my 3D printer. I am printing another arm so that I can use it again, but it is honestly pretty simple in its construction, I think. It's basically a motor that connects through to these arms that kind of looks like a yarn swift, and it rotates. I have variable speed control on this. I'm also missing the bearing that is supposed to sit in here and keep it a little bit more smoothly turning, but I think it'll be okay. But I'm hoping that to unravel 1 sweater, it won't be too bad. I will wait for the 3D printer to finish. Oh, wait! The ball bearing is literally, is it a ball? I don't think it's a ball bearing, but the bearing just slipped off. It must have been on one of the times that I dropped it that it literally just slipped down, and I can just reattach it. Thank goodness. Okay, that'll be a lot less stressful on the motor, so I'm very glad for that. While we're waiting for the 3D printer to finish, this isn't a very new idea. I just think that I haven't myself done the test of how quote unquote worth it is it? Like, how much work and time and effort am I putting into this versus the amount of yarn that I get off of it? Is it really worth it? Let's wait for my 3D printer to finish printing the missing arm. I will put this arm back on, and I will add the bearing back into my unraveler here, goodness gracious, and then we can start unraveling the first panel of this sweater, and we will cross our fingers that we won't have much tearing. The last time I tried to unravel a cashmere sweater, I gave up because I ripped the threads constantly, which really isn't worth it at the end. So let's see how worth it this sweater is. Okay, so I was just digging through my storage solutions, and anything that's like closed and in drawers and I can't see, I kind of forget about. So no wonder I forgot that I had this, but I had some older prints of these arms. So this isn't the exact arm. The hole is slightly big, and it doesn't have like the little slot to make it easier to take the yarn off, but it works for now. The 3D printer is still printing the other arm, so if this one doesn't work, we can use that one. Let me clamp this down to something, and we will find like a little end of our first sweater to start unraveling. Keep your fingers crossed for me that this isn't going to be too difficult. I don't know. I'm worried. Now that I said that, I'm worried that I said that, but we'll try. We'll try. Okay, to be honest, I'm a little bit worried about the integrity of the clamp. It did split, I'm pretty sure, one of the times that I dropped it. So I might put the 3D printer to work printing another clamp once it's done with the backup arm. But for now, let's see if it still even turns. This is gonna be my first run test in a long time. Also, I'm sorry for all of this mess. It's a bit messy in my room at the moment. Here we go. It does still run, which is a great sign. It is quite unstable, so I am a bit worried, but we're gonna run. We're gonna run with it. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. Let's see if it works. The clamp is about to fully fail. Ah. Okay. Oh, and I ripped the yarn. That went really poorly. Oops. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to wait until I can print a new clamp potentially, or let me see if I can use a construction clamp. Hold on. Alright, so there's a bit of felting at the place where there were seams. The clamp is helping a lot, so I'm just gonna sit here while the rest of this arm gets done. Wow, with the worst posture ever. I can see that in the viewfinder. Let me get a little bit better posture so I don't ruin my shoulders and my back doing this. And I guess I will see you once this panel is done. I've made it to the cuff where the ribbing is, and I'm trying to figure out how this one is sewn together because it's different from what I have ever experienced before. So I'm trying to see if there's a way. I have to admit, I don't fully understand this cuff construction. I'm just getting a whole bunch of long disconnected pieces. So I might call it there for now. I'm gonna save it just in case I need a little extra for the pattern I'm planning on doing. I might be a little eking tight on that, so I'll save it. Okay, I'm so excited that we have one sleeve unraveled. Surprisingly, also almost exactly 20 minutes is what it took to do this. I included everything, including all the mistakes in the stopping and the starting. So let me put a few tie-off points into this. The clamp so far is working well enough that I've decided to just leave it be for now. Usually one of the arms, the one that's missing of course, would loosen it and it would drop down, which gives me a little bit of less tension on these, so I'm not afraid of ripping anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn a few of these to the side in hopes of giving myself a little bit more wiggle room, and then just very carefully seeing if I can't move this. There we go. I think that works. And look at that, it looks almost like ramen noodles because it has the memory of the stitches that it was in before I unraveled it. So this will need to be washed and let dry to kind of remove a little bit of that memory. We have the first bit unraveled. How much would this be worth? What's your guess? It's pretty light, and I don't know, I have to look up exactly how much money per gram cashmere knitting yarn tends to be, but tell me what your guess is for sleeve number one. For the second sleeve though, we do have the rip in it, so I know, like the moth holes in it, so I know that we're gonna have longer pieces of yarn, but I might take you a little bit closer in so you can see some more of the process and how this really works a little bit better. Sleeve 2 is done, and that took 13 minutes. So we're up to 20 minutes for deconstructing it, 20 minutes for sleeve 1, and 13 minutes for sleeve 2, which is 53 minutes, just under an hour. We have the front and back to do, so I guess I'll just keep on unraveling and timing myself for the unraveling and keeping you updated. Now that I have unwound all of the sections of the sweater, it is time to give it a wash. Not just to clean it, but also to relax a little bit of the memory of this yarn. So I filled up my bathroom sink with some wool wash, so wash that's meant specifically for washing cashmere and woolen products, and I soaked it in nice cool water, trying to wring out a little bit of the memory of the yarn, and also, you know, this is a good potential to really thoroughly clean this yarn as well. After a final rinse in just plain water to make sure that all of the soap is out, I wrung it out, not too much, basically just squeezed out the water and let it hang to dry. And after letting it dry overnight, I am left with this absolutely beautiful yarn. I don't even think that the camera fully captures the color of this yarn. I wish that I could show it to you a little bit better. All right, after unraveling the sweater and all the different sections, washing and letting this hang dry, I have finished unraveling the sweater. So why don't we go ahead and weigh and see how many grams of yarn that we have. Put your guesses down below. Let me know if you're anywhere close. Okay, so 121 grams, that is pretty good. I am so excited. And this is pure cashmere in just the most gorgeous color. I created a spreadsheet with different companies' 100% cashmere yarns to see on average the price per gram that different yarn companies have for cashmere, and it turns out that for 121 grams on average we're looking at having just about $110 worth of yarn. I originally paid $5 for this, $4.49 for the sweater, but let's include taxes and round it up to about $5. And I put time into it, right? We don't want to discount the amount of time that I spent on this, so I added up all of the time that I spent unpicking the sweater, unraveling each sleeve, unraveling the front and back, and the washing time that it took. And that means that I spent just under 2 hours on unraveling the sweater with my Unraveler. If we take a look at this from the point of view of minimum wage, where I live, minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. That means that my entire sweater costed me, I think, just under $20, including the purchase price. Let's look at it from the point of view of a livable wage, which I think in my area I looked it up is somewhere around $25 an hour, which would be just about $46 for this amount of wool. So I put in about $46 to get this in terms of original purchasing price and time spent unwinding it, if we're looking at about $25 an hour. And the average cost of this wool is $110. So I feel like that is worth it, at least for me and at least for the fact that I have the unraveling machine. I know that some of you have asked for the 3D printing files for my Unraveler and instructions on how to put it together and all the other things that I did. So I'm currently working on creating like a little downloadable sheet. Again, it's not working perfectly. There are some like kinks with it, so I can't promise that it'll be perfect, but at least it's the system that I'm using and I'm enjoying. Feel free to sign up for the newsletter because it's not done quite yet, but I'll send it out in an email once it is done. So feel free, I'll leave the link down below to sign up for that newsletter if you'd like it. And if you're curious about what I'm going to do with this yarn, I actually already have a sweater pattern picked out that I'm planning to knit this up into. So that'll be the next video. So if you want to see that, feel free to tune in again next week. If you like unraveling videos like this, I have created a playlist here that I think you might enjoy because it talks about the Unraveler and other times I've unraveled sweaters in order to kind of harvest the yarn from them. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me here. I know that all of our time is precious, so I appreciate that you spend some of that with me, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye!